All right, hello. I thought I'd do just a very, very quick 2-minute video because we've got an important day coming up tomorrow. The date today is the 26th of September. It was a date that I've talked about before for Madonna in relationship to Olivia Newton-John. There was a little decode that I did a while back that tied Madonna to Olivia Newton-John and potentially um, might have seen something on today's date for Madonna. But there's also a potential for tomorrow's date as well, which is the 27th of September, which is what I want to talk about. So, where am I at here? Well, I'm on Back to the Future. Okay, so this is a very, very people would call this a big reach, a big stretch. The connection I'm going to make right here, but it's just another one of these little in passing connections that is in Back to the Future that just bugs me, you know. And it's the part where oh blimey, I've forgotten her name now. For Marty's grandmother basically says, "I hope you like meatloaf." Okay, she's just said, or she's just about to say that, or she's just said it, and Lorraine has just plonked Marty down in the chair here. Okay, I hope you can see this all right. It's a bit blurry, but so this reference to Meatloaf. Okay, well, Meatloaf, his birthday is on the 27th of September, and if you've followed my stuff throughout the years now, you'll know that Meatloaf's popped up a few times. He's got, I think, a couple of references to the Hoover Dam. You know, a good couple of references, and to 9/11, and in his act, that's just his film stuff, and then in his music as well there's some references to 9/11 and etc., and it's all in the sort of back catalogue. So this is interesting with this reference to Meatloaf. Now, the actual reference to Meatloaf, um, yeah, it could just be a reference to Meatloaf in the fact that he's born on an important day. It may not tie to Madonna at all. It probably doesn't. It's probably just that Meatloaf is born on this important day, which is going to be tomorrow. But at the point in this film where Marty is asked if he likes meatloaf, he is sat down opposite Milton over here, and I'm wondering if Milton is named Milton for Hamilton, who has the 1010 on the. It is Hamilton on that bill, isn't it? Anyway, yeah. I'm just trying to think. I'm getting all. Anyway, so on the $10 bill with Hamilton is the 1010, and you'll see the 1010 show up, the XX show up in the Hoover scene as well, in the I say the Hoover scene, the hoverboard scene, the Hoover Dam scene. That shows up in one of the buildings. There's a big XX, and it also shows up when Marty is the hanged man in number 3 as well, at the clock tower again, with all the scaffolding with the XX. There's a ton of little bits and bobs in the back of this film that references XX. Okay, but anyway, get to the point, Dan. He's got the Davy Crockett hat on. Okay, the what the hell is it even? It's a the raccoony type hat thing. Anyway, so this Davy Crockett hat. Okay, so this reference to Davy Crockett, which is there's also playing at the I think right when he walks by Lou's Cafe at some point as well, when he's just arrived in 1955, maybe something like that. Anyway, or maybe when he's meeting George. I'm not sure, but anyway, it doesn't matter right now. What matters is she's plonked him opposite the other man, her brother. I guess this is the eldest brother. Okay, so she's plonked him opposite, and Davy Crockett's birthday is 8/17. okay, 17th of August, which is Madonna's first husband, the white wedding, her first wedding, her white wedding, if you like. This is going to become important with the rest of this. Okay, so we're getting onto the theme of the white wedding here. Okay, so this is important that this might be a reference to Madonna. Well, this is a reference to Madonna. She's the mother. She's Mary. Lorraine is Mary, and Marty is Christ at this point. So there's Mary and Jesus right here, and she has plonked him opposite this dude with the 817 reference, the same as Madonna's white wedding first husband. Okay, so I know this is a bit convoluted, but we're going to go into Billy Idol's white wedding. And just what was I going to say? Oh yeah, just one other thing. The other day when Madonna did her Blumenau, she did the Dolce and Gabbana Blumen show thing, right? And she had that sort of veil on, and there was the part of the veil that went across the face that did the Billy Idol eyes without a face symbolism, but it also looked a lot like the mask that Bane wears in Batman. Okay, and this is Lorraine Baines. Okay, so I just thought that was an interesting connection. Okay, we just had. I know that's a reach for some people. If you go and look at the pictures of that fashion show, you will pick out the one. I mentioned it in the other video anyway, when I was talking about it. So anyway, so this connection to the wedding. Okay, one other thing, we've got the reference to the Hoover Dam in the background here, which is the two towers, the two inlet towers on each side, and then the big picture frame that's behind this old girl's head, which is like the homestead. It's like the sort of pioneer homestead type ranch thing, which is the place where everything was still in balance again. Yeah, going back to the farm, as old Elton John, wish I'd stayed on the farm, as old Elton John would say. But that's the thing, yeah, getting back to the homestead, back out on the land, out of the city, okay, back into the wilderness, so to speak, if you like, okay, and out of the control state, out of Egypt. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about here, was this reference to Meatloaf in this scene, okay, and Meatloaf's birthday. Now, let's go and let's look at, I want to show you this decode chart that I've been looking at lately. And, I just did the Madonna, I was just looking at Madonna for 920, and then I was wondering about the Hoover Dam for 922, okay, because these numbers that I'm looking at here, okay, if you've not been following along, all I did here was I took each of the three cycles. There's three different cycles, okay, Fibonacci, Lucas, and what I call the pi cycle, okay, and those are just I don't really want to spend ages explaining this, but if you go and look up what Fibonacci is, there's two other cycles that are similar to Fibonacci. They just start on different numbers, okay, and there's only three cycles that exist. If you do some kind of Fibonacci type sequence, it's going to be one of these three cycles. When you take your big numbers, right, and then reduce them down into individual digits, there will be 24 repeating numbers in each cycle, and it will be one of those three cycles, okay? So this first one up here is Fibonacci, the second one is Lucas, and then this third one is what I call pi, because it just has the number of pi in it. I just call it the pi cycle, okay? It's not the actual numbers of pi, the transcendental. It gets a little confusing, but it's not the transcendental number pi, okay? So anyway, if you take each one of these cycles, and I lined each cycle up because they're starting in different points, okay? This is the start of Fibonacci. This is the start of Lucas here, and then here's the start of the pi cycle here. Okay, so they're starting in different points, but the reason why they're lined up the way they're lined up is because I've lined up from biggest to smallest. I've lined up the twin numbers, okay, with all the twin stuff that we have, the references to twinism. I've lined the cycles up with twin numbers, okay, and again, where's the other lot of twin numbers? Right here. There's two sets of twins in each cycle, okay. So you know, I'm just gonna leave it at that, right? You probably, if you've been watching the channel, you know what I'm talking about, right? So there's two sets of twins in each cycle. We've got those lined up, and the other thing we have lined up is all these nines here, which again is really important. The emergency number in England is 999. Okay, so this is really important with our, this sort of, I don't know, tie back with 9/11. And if you were going to go to another country to pick out an emergency number, it would be England, because of the Queen's connection to all this stuff. Okay, we got the Queen and we've got Donald Trump are the two main connections into all this, that tie into all this. Yeah, and the reason why they tie into it is because if you go from the start of the USA, the birthday of the USA, and factor out the two different cycles for Pluto, one the sidereal cycle, and then I did an adjusted synodic cycle, and the two dates, the two end dates, the Queen's birthday 2023, she wasn't alive, and Donald Trump's birthday this year. Okay, so that's the wow thing about the whole thing with Pluto. And again, the midpoint between those two things is the 17th of November, and obviously the day that ties the 17th of November is the 18th of November, and that is Mickey Mouse's birthday. Okay, so you see how this the Pluto comes with the Mickey Mouse in the sort of the midpoint between those two cycles. Anyway, I'm getting completely off of where I wanted to go with this because I just wanted to keep this short. But I was looking at these numbers here. So we're looking at, this is the fascinating thing before we get on. When you add up all of these numbers and just simply reduce them down to single digits again, what we end up with, is we end up with Lucas numbers being repeated as our sort of, when you add all these cycles up, okay, it comes out at Lucas numbers again, okay, which is really fascinating. So the center line here, the center row of numbers is the balance numbers for all three columns, for all three cycles, when you line everything up on the twins and the 999s, okay? Okay, with that being said, I was looking at these numbers here. We're looking at the center of this thing, because when we're looking for balance, we're looking at the center. So this little red arrow here is the center. Okay, so I was looking at 92 for Madonna, 920, and 922 for the Hoover Dam. As just potential dates, I think we've got a much bigger potential date coming up in, actually in November, but we've got one coming up in the middle of, we've got the 1010 and the 1011 in the middle of October, and then we've got the 1011 in November. Okay, that date as well. So there's some big dates still coming up for the Hoover Dam. But this date here, 7/29, okay, which we've got coming up right now, we could look at it as July the 29th, or we could look at it as September the 27th, okay, if we read it back the other way. Now what's fascinating about this is if we look up at the actual numbers that are in Lucas numbers above this, you'll see that 279 is above 7/29. 29. Okay, and this is what's fascinating about this is really what's happened here is this set of numbers now is we have the cycle, we have Lucas numbers set up in a cycle down here that correlates that basically just correlates with the balancing of the whole cycle. What do I mean? I mean, if you were to take this whole row here, okay, and put it in an actual cycle in a circle, and you looked across from, let's say, this 5 here, so we had this 5 in the cycle, and we looked across what was from it, it would be a 2, okay, and if we look down, it would be a 2, it would be a 4, it would be a 4. Oh dear, it's getting late. So that would be a 4. Why would it be a 4? Because everything's got to add up to a 9 in the cycle. The only things that don't add up to a 9 is when you have a 9 opposite a 9. That adds up to 18, which then reduces down to 9. Okay, so what we really have is we just have the numbers, the sort of opposite numbers down here for this cycle. Okay, well, that's a long convoluted way of saying that, but what we have is the opposites. Okay, so what you'll find is that this is really important, is that, yeah, right at this point, at the middle point, we have that number sort of reversed, and then again here we have that same number at the end of the whole thing. Okay, and notice what we have at the start of this thing, 224, like 2024. Anyway, oh dear, Dan, that was way too convoluted. 729. What's 729? 729 is, let's go to it. 729 is the white wedding, the big white wedding. Yeah, Diana and Charles's wedding. Okay, so it's the big white wedding. This was, like, if you had to name a wedding, this would be the one, wouldn't it? So the 29th of July, St. Paul's Cathedral. Highly recommend going there, especially during a service. It was, we went, well, I say the last time I went to England, but it was the time before now with the kids. And we ended up just popping in there, and they had a service on. It was very, very good. Amazing place, especially with the choir going. Really moving. Anyway, getting sidetracked again. So so we have this going on, right? So this is kind of interesting, that we have a connection to Madonna now in Billy Idol's White Wedding. Okay, so we can look at this date here, 297, and we can read it backwards, or, well, we have to flip the July around, but we can get a 927 out of that as well. Okay, which gets us back to this date right here. Okay, right here, 927. So there's just a couple more things I want to mention. I want to show you in Billy Idol's White Wedding now, why this is interesting with this connection to the wedding day, or to the marriage again. Here's Madonna's "Who's That Girl" song video. Notice what she's wearing, this grey jacket. That's actually a suit jacket with the collars up, and I think, maybe, I don't know, anyway, grey hat. Look at her hair, dark hair. She's got, I don't know if we could get a better picture of her in here, but she's kind of got the, I won't call it a unibrow, but it's, in a few of her things, she almost looks like she's got in fact, it's actually in, let me show you, it's almost like it's in, there's a clip out of "Who's That Girl." Very good. But I tell you, there's a few clips in there where she looks like she's got the unibrow. But anyway, she's got this stuff on, right? Now let's go to Billy Idol's White Wedding. So this is the crowd at the church in the wedding. Notice this dude here with the unibrow, the hairline here, the hat's back, the grey suit. I think it's supposed to be Madonna, and he's the male character. And then what's fascinating is, so this is during the wedding, or this is the crowd of the wedding, and then we've got this gal here, next to Madonna, and this gal looks a bit like Billy Idol. Let's just backtrack and go to Billy Idol so you can see. Okay, well, we get him with his hair. So you see that? I won't be able to get back to that spot now. But yeah, you see that with the hair? It's almost like they put two characters, role reversal, but they put them next to each other, kind of represent Billy Idol and Madonna maybe, next to each other at a wedding. Interesting. The White Wedding. Okay. But that's what I have. Okay, I have that balance date in here is the White Wedding, could be the White Wedding, and it could be referring also to tomorrow. Okay, and again, just going back to the Olivia Newton-John stuff with it was the connection with Dear Jessie, that song, the Pink Elephants and Lemonade song, and this character called Roller. I think the band is called Roller Girl or whatever. I don't know. They did a cover of it, and during the song, the basically Roller Girl goes down. Okay, during the song, and it's got some eclipse references in the background. Of course, this is the big eclipse year. Okay, with the eclipse on the 8th of April. Okay, so that was kind of interesting. And Olivia Newton-John, when we looked at the numbers in the chart, and I'll go to that in just one second, but when we looked at the numbers in the chart, we had some overlaps or some connections with Madonna. Okay, with the 221 day of the year, and I know that doesn't mean much to people who are actually looking at it. So let's just go to the chart and I'll show you, because there's actually another little thing in here I want to show you real quick about that day as well. So let's go to this chart. Okay. So, okay, a whole bunch of numbers there, Dan. This is really confusing. Right, it's not too bad. We're going to concentrate on this row here, which is Fibonacci. Okay, and it's starting right here, so you can see the 911 at the end and the beginning of Fibonacci. And then we've got the actual numbers of pi here, the transcendental versions of pi. Okay, 3.14, yada yada yada. Okay, and we have everything lined up. These two are aligned through the 358 that's here. So in both these sets of numbers, this is just the first 24 numbers of pi. And I've got these two lined up because there's the 358 and there's a 358 in this set as well. So I lined them up with the 358, which is again an interesting number because it's Christmas Eve. Okay, which would be Mary's Day, okay, the Eve, and then the Adam. So the day, so you've got the feminine and the physical next to each other, right? Anyway, we'll cut a long story short. Olivia Newton-John's birthday is right here, okay, which was again kind of interesting, and her death date as well is up over here with the 88, okay. And again with the death date, obviously her date, her 926 on Olivia Newton-John is correlating with 911, and the number that correlates with that 11 is the 88. Okay, that's why we see so much 88 references, because it's just a direct reference to 9/11. It's the 88 is the balancing twin with the 11. Okay, so this is kind of we're going to come to some relevance here in a second. Here's our 718 with our Madonna's white wedding, okay, and so that's kind of tying in there as well, which tied in with the 23rd of September, which again, I don't know. I don't want to bog this down too much. Okay, that was another date we were looking at, especially with the 922 there in the middle of the chart there. But not to bog it down too much, what I wanted to show you though, there was something with. Hang on a minute. Well, anyway, I don't want to go too much into the stuff with Olivia Newton-John right now. I will, if something happens, I'll do another video on it. But what I wanted to show you was that in the same group of numbers, these two rows right here, during the music video What a Girl Wants that Madonna did with Guy Ritchie, okay, hubby, another wedding reference, and of course he's a 9-1 reference as well. So I don't know, we're just going around in circles with all these numbers. But anyway, we've got this number here, okay. Now I'll show you that the number jumps through, but we've got to remember this is 4626, but we really need to remember the 66 in here and the 42 in here that correlate with that number that was on the old people's home in that video, okay, What a Girl Wants. Alright, and also that there was a 666 in it as well. There was also a 6, if you remember the door in that video where it was 669 and that 9 flipped around to a 6, so we ended up with a 666. Let me show you something now. Remember that. I'll show you something in, what was I going to show you it in? The bloody, this thing. Oh, I've got something else to show you as well. Bloody hell, Dan. Okay. Oh no, I wasn't going to show you that. Hang on. No, what was I going to show you? This? Yeah, it was this. Okay. From her birthday through to, tomorrow, 24,149 days. I could talk about that number and break it into little sections and talk about it, but we're not doing that right now. We are going to look at the fact that it's 66 years and 42 days. Okay, which is really fascinating with that. Can't remember which way around it was now, the 4626 or whatever the hell it was. So we had those numbers, albeit they were jumbled up. But we did have those numbers, and then if we check out that it's down here, it's 66 years and 6 weeks, 0 days. So it's 666 down here as well. So I just thought it was interesting that it connected back again, like those other dates connected back that I was just looking at for. They also kind of connected back to this video as well. So it's actually amazing how many connections you can actually kind of make with some of this stuff. Oh, look, we're 66 years, 1 month and 11 days. This is kind of nice with the 111. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you, right? So go back to this one. I'll show you right here. Right. So look at the days gone in the year here. 271 days. Okay, 95 days left. We could talk about that quite a bit, but we're not going to. 271 days, right? Oh dear, let's see. 271 days. Let's go to the dartboard. Notice with Madonna, here's her birthday numbers. 816. Opposite is pi numbers. 413, 314. And then off on perpendicular across sort of thing, we've got 125. Okay, that became, well, there was some connections with Billy Idol with the 25,100 52-day number jump. And again, I don't really know if Madonna's going to croak tomorrow. I just thought this is interesting because there's actually 2 or 3 more days coming up, which are pretty interesting as well with some of these number jumps as well. So I won't get too overly excited about this. Notice down here though, opposite, so on our cross, we're making a cross in here with our birthday numbers. Here's our 271 numbers here, okay, in the dartboard. So pretty important. We've got a reference to Christmas and Billy Idol. We've got a reference to Pi, and again 9/11. Actually, I was talking to Journeyman about this, and he just re-emphasized it in the comments. Look, every 4 years we get a 9/11 on November the 9th is our 9/11 that falls on Pi Day every 4 years, which is again is fascinating. And then we've got her birthday, and then this number here, and those numbers show up in her gematria as well. I think I'm going to leave it there, to be quite honest. That's got to be enough, doesn't it? Rattled on for way too long on this one, I think. It's just a kind of interesting day. Maybe there's some more nice references to the White Wedding and Billy Idol as well coming up. So yeah, I don't know. It's amazing just how many sort of dates you can really start picking out when I mean, I know some of that's a bit convoluted, and people say, well, you're reaching on that, Dan, but I mean, if it showed up in an actual decode after the event, you'd be like, oh wow, you know. But before it, I don't know. Is it just am I just trying too hard to make some numbers work there? I don't know. It's just what I see, and maybe that's just part of the overall story. I don't know. Okay, I'll leave it there. I've probably forgotten something important for that one, but I think I covered most of it. Anyway, I'll talk to you on another one pretty soon, actually, because I got a couple more days coming up here that are interesting. Okay. Obviously, because we're getting closer to 9:30, which is the birthday of the Hoover Dam. So anyway, okay, I'll talk to you later. Cheers, bye.